Governor Whitmer has announced the closure, as we mentioned, of all schools K through 12.
Yes, and this does include public, private, and boarding schools.
Florida is shutting down schools statewide for the next 2 weeks. This in an effort to contain the spread of coronavirus.
Many schools around the world, as you know, have shut down, some for extended periods of time as this virus spreads. In the U.S., some schools in 7 states have temporarily closed as a precaution.
During this time when there's so much focus on our physical health, it's important not to forget about our mental health. With all the changes happening as we overcome this pandemic, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and stressed.
And this couldn't have been more true for the class of 2020. Myself, Joshka Kumran, am just one of many students who didn't get to live out their final moments of high school. And little did we all know, not going to school and having big milestone events took a toll on our mental health. During the beginning of the pandemic, I was shot down by bad news after bad news, realizing that I wouldn't have a graduation that I'd hoped to, or a prom that I was imagining since I was a little girl. So bad news after bad news definitely shot down my mental health, and I was just hoping for when I would actually receive good news and looking forward to college. I thought that transition would be the start of something new and the start back to normalcy as well. But little did I know that it would continue for so long. To me, a bigger deal was graduation, walking up with all of my classmates, getting that diploma, also playing in band at the graduation ceremony would have meant a lot to me. So that bad news got me a lot sadder than the news of prom. And receiving all of those bad news, I just was in denial of the fact that my end to my high school career would be this way, and no one thought it would happen, and I didn't really get to say goodbye to anyone and a lot of teachers I cared about a lot too. A club that made missing out on the last few months of high school even more sad was Odyssey of the Mind. Odyssey of the Mind is a creative problem-solving club where you are put in teams from 5 to 7 people, and you work on a long-term solution from the beginning of the school year until the end. And at the end of the school year, you compete in regional, state, and world competitions. And I've been part of Odyssey of the Mind since 5th grade in elementary school. When the pandemic hit, we received the bad news that our world finals would not be held in person, nor our state finals. So both of those competitions were to be virtual, and although we were working the entire school year towards finally getting to world's finals, we unfortunately came to find out that we would not be able to travel across the country to do so. I was deeply disappointed and devastated, honestly, because from elementary school until my senior year, I had never attended World Finals. Senior year was my last hurrah and my last chance to get to World Finals, and having that opportunity taken away from me was absolutely devastating, and it deeply saddened me. In general, Odyssey of the Mind provided me an outlet for my mental health to be at its peak, even in my middle school and high school careers. So when my mental health was at a down low, when I looked to Odyssey of the Mind to better myself and improve my mental health, it was disappointing to find out that my competition was virtual and I wouldn't get the end to my Odyssey of the Mind career as I would have hoped.
Remote learning and social distancing have drastically reduced the quality of life for millions of kids across the U.S. because of the pandemic. The CDC has reported mental health-related emergency department visits were up 24% for 5 to 11-year-olds and 31% for 12 to 17-year-olds from April through October compared to last year.
But I will say that I do believe it's the adolescent population that has struggled more so when I look at my caseload compared to adults in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. And the reason I believe is that you don't have, as a young person, you don't have as much perspective. I have a lot of respect for young people and people your age, and their level of resilience and how they handled all the letdowns, the cancellations, the disappointments. And so I believe, like with anything else, it's hard when you're going through it, but once you're through it, you can kind of look back and know, okay, that was a period of my life that I did not enjoy or was sad to me, but I don't need to carry it along with me forever and have it be more of like a trauma